Let me ask you something before we begin. Have you ever done everything right? No sugar, no dessert, no soda, and still woken up to a blood sugar number that makes no sense? You didn't eat anything overnight. You were careful the day before. And yet, there it is again, higher than you expected. If that's happened to you, I want you to know something important right now. You are not failing. You are simply missing one piece of the puzzle, and it has almost nothing to do with willpower. Here's what most people are never told. The very first meal you eat in the morning doesn't just affect that single moment. It sets the tone for your blood sugar for the next 8 to 12 hours. Think about that for a second. One meal shaping nearly half your day. In the hours before you even open your eyes, your body has already been busy. Your liver has been releasing stored glucose to give you energy for the day ahead. Your stress hormones are naturally elevated in the morning. And your insulin sensitivity, your body's ability to respond efficiently to insulin, is at one of its lowest points of the entire day. So if breakfast leans too heavily on fast-digesting carbohydrates or doesn't have enough protein to balance things out, you can trigger a ripple effect, a spike, then a crash, then cravings, then fatigue that follows you well into the afternoon. But here is the encouraging part, the part I want you to really sit with. If the wrong breakfast can set off that chain reaction, the right breakfast can do the exact opposite. It can calm that morning glucose surge. It can improve how your body responds to insulin. It can quiet hunger hormones before they even start talking to you. And it can give you steady, dependable energy that lasts from your first cup of coffee to your evening walk. Today, we're going to walk through 3 breakfast foods that do exactly that. They're not exotic. You won't need to order anything special. But used the right way, and in the right combination, they can meaningfully reduce how high your blood sugar spikes after eating, and over time support better fasting numbers and a healthier long-term average. Stay with me, because one of these foods, when paired correctly, has been shown in research to soften post-meal blood sugar spikes by a significant margin. And most people are using it in a way that cancels out nearly all of its benefit. Let's begin. Breakfast food. Number 1. The humble egg. If your fasting numbers are higher than they should be, even on mornings when you ate nothing the night before, the explanation often traces back to how your previous day started. And this is exactly where eggs earn their reputation as one of the most underrated tools in blood sugar management. Most people think of an egg as simply a protein, a convenient, affordable source of nutrition. But inside a body that's working to manage insulin resistance, an egg behaves more like a stabilizer, a hormone regulator, and a metabolic anchor, all wrapped inside one shell. Let's look at why. A single large egg, around 50 grams, gives you roughly 70 calories, about 6 grams of high-quality protein, and around 5 grams of healthy fat, with almost no carbohydrate at all. Because of that near-zero carbohydrate content, the egg carries a glycemic index of essentially 0. It will not raise your blood sugar directly. But here's where it gets interesting. The real value of an egg isn't only in what it avoids doing, it's in what it helps your body do better. Remember that early morning glucose release from your liver we talked about? In someone dealing with insulin resistance, that release can be excessive, contributing directly to high fasting numbers. Eggs help quiet this process. The combination of protein and fat slows digestion, which means your body doesn't need to mount a sudden, large insulin response. Over time, starting your day this way is associated with steadier, lower fasting readings. There's also a hormonal story happening here that most people never hear about. Eggs support leptin, your fullness hormone, while helping to keep ghrelin, your hunger hormone, in check. That balance keeps you satisfied for longer, which means fewer of those mid-morning cravings that send so many people reaching for something sweet. And when cravings go down, blood sugar stability naturally goes up. Then there's a more advanced mechanism worth understanding. Inside your muscle cells, there's a transporter called GLUT4. Its job is to pull glucose out of your bloodstream and into your muscles, where it can actually be used for energy instead of circulating and causing problems. The high-quality protein in eggs helps support this transporter's activity, especially when you pair breakfast with even light movement afterward, like a short walk. The result is less glucose lingering in your blood and more of it being put to productive use. Eggs also offer something many people never connect to blood sugar at all: protection for your eyes. They're rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, two antioxidants that defend delicate eye tissue against oxidative stress, a type of damage that diabetes can accelerate over time. So an egg isn't just managing your glucose curve for today, it's quietly protecting a part of your body that's vulnerable to long-term complications. There's one more piece of the puzzle, and it's about timing and texture. Eggs slow gastric emptying. In plain language, food stays in your stomach a little longer, which means glucose enters your bloodstream gradually instead of all at once. That's the difference between a smooth, gentle curve and a sharp spike followed by a crash. And that smoothness doesn't just affect breakfast, it tends to carry forward, influencing your energy and focus for hours. In controlled studies looking at breakfast composition, people who included eggs experienced noticeably better blood sugar stability across the day, along with reduced spikes after meals and improved feelings of fullness. That's not a one-time benefit. That's a metabolic advantage that compounds, meal after meal. So how do you actually use this? Timing and pairing matter most. 2 to 3 whole eggs within the first hour of waking helps blunt that natural morning glucose surge and sets a stable tone for the hours that follow. Pair them with fiber-rich vegetables, spinach, tomatoes, bell peppers, and you amplify the effect, because that added fiber further slows glucose absorption. If you want a touch of slow-digesting carbohydrate alongside, a small portion of whole grain toast or a few slices of avocado works beautifully. How you cook them matters too. Boiled, poached, or lightly scrambled are your best choices. I'd encourage you to go easy on heavy frying and to be cautious with processed breakfast meats like sausage or bacon, since the added sodium and unhealthy fats can quietly undo some of the benefit you just built. And here's something I want to leave you with before we move to our next food. Eggs don't force your blood sugar down. They teach your body how to manage it more intelligently. That's the real distinction. This isn't artificial control, it's natural, sustainable stability, built one breakfast at a time. Breakfast food number 2, the green banana. Now, this next one tends to surprise people. Sometimes it even makes them a little nervous. If you've been told to avoid bananas because of blood sugar concerns, that advice usually applies to ripe, yellow bananas. A green, unripe banana is an entirely different food once it's inside your body. Instead of behaving like a sugar source, a green banana acts more like a slow-release fiber system, one that can help stabilize glucose, support insulin sensitivity, and gradually retrain your metabolism. Let's look at the numbers. One medium green banana, around 120 grams, contains roughly 90 to 100 calories, about 1 to 1.5 grams of protein, and around 3 grams of fiber. It also provides about 27 grams of carbohydrate. But here is the detail that changes everything. Most of that carbohydrate exists as resistant starch, not simple sugar. It also delivers a meaningful amount of potassium, along with smaller contributions of magnesium, vitamin B6, and vitamin C. Because of that resistant starch, a green banana has a glycemic index roughly half that of a fully ripe one. In its unripe state, the starch is tightly packed and naturally resistant to digestion. As a banana ripens, that resistant starch gradually converts into simple sugar, which is exactly why a ripe banana tastes sweeter and raises blood sugar faster. Here's what happens once that resistant starch enters your body. A large portion of it passes through your small intestine undigested. Instead of converting quickly into glucose, it travels to your large intestine, where it behaves much like fiber. This creates two distinct benefits. First, the glucose that does eventually enter your bloodstream is released slowly and steadily, which helps prevent sudden spikes. Second, the overall amount of glucose entering your system is reduced in the first place. But the deeper transformation happens in your gut. Resistant starch feeds your beneficial gut bacteria, and as they digest it, they produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids. These compounds have been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, lower inflammation, and support better overall glucose metabolism. In other words, a green banana doesn't just help you in the moment, it can actually improve how your body handles carbohydrates going forward. This connects directly to that morning liver glucose release we discussed earlier. When you include green banana at breakfast, its resistant starch helps buffer that natural surge, slowing absorption and giving your body the time it needs to manage glucose smoothly rather than reactively. Green bananas also influence the same hunger and fullness hormones we talked about with eggs, helping to regulate ghrelin and support leptin, which reduces the temptation to snack later on something processed or sugary. And through the same insulin sensitivity improvements we mentioned, they help support GLUT4 activity too, meaning more glucose gets shuttled into your muscles for energy rather than lingering in your bloodstream. Now, practically speaking, how do you actually eat a green banana? Unlike a ripe one, it's firm and not very sweet, so it's almost always prepared cooked rather than eaten raw. A simple approach is to slice it and steam or boil it for a few minutes until just tender. Then pair it with protein and healthy fat. Eggs or avocado work wonderfully here. You can also find green banana flour, made from dried unripe bananas, which retains the resistant starch and can be used in small amounts for pancakes, flatbreads, or smoothies. A few practical notes. Portion size still matters, even though the glycemic impact is lower. It's not zero. One medium banana, or even half, is usually a sensible place to start. The greener the better, since ripening converts that beneficial resistant starch into sugar. And because resistant starch feeds gut bacteria, some people notice mild bloating at first. Starting small and increasing gradually gives your digestive system time to adjust. Here's the idea I want you to carry forward. A green banana doesn't spike your blood sugar. It trains your body to handle carbohydrates more efficiently over time. That's an entirely different relationship with food than most people have ever been taught. Breakfast food number 3. Avocado toast done correctly. If your breakfast leaves you full for an hour, maybe 2, and then your blood sugar dips and your energy follows it down, the problem usually isn't how much you ate. It's how that meal was built. And this is precisely where a well-constructed avocado toast becomes one of the most effective breakfast strategies available, not because it's trendy, but because of what's actually happening biologically when fat, fiber, and the right carbohydrate are combined. Start with the avocado itself. A medium avocado, about 150 grams of edible flesh, provides roughly 240 calories, 3 grams of protein, and around 10 grams of fiber, a substantial portion of your daily need. It also offers a strong amount of potassium, along with magnesium, vitamin K, folate, and vitamin E. Most importantly, it contains roughly 15 grams of monounsaturated fat, the same heart-protective fat associated with improved insulin sensitivity and reduced inflammation. An avocado on its own has a glycemic index close to 0, but its real power shows up in how it changes the impact of the food it's paired with, particularly bread. When healthy fat and fiber sit alongside bread in your stomach, gastric emptying slows down. The bread is digested more gradually, which means the glucose it contains enters your bloodstream slowly rather than all at once. Instead of a sharp spike, you get a gentle, manageable rise, the kind your body can handle without strain. Here's the catch, though, and it matters more than people realize. The type of bread you choose determines whether this meal helps you or works against you. White or heavily refined bread carries a high glycemic index and can spike blood sugar quickly, even sitting underneath a generous layer of avocado. Whole grain, sprouted grain, or true sourdough bread is a different story entirely. These options carry more fiber and resistant starch, which meaningfully slows digestion and improves the glucose response. So really, avocado toast isn't just a dish, it's a small system. Healthy fat from the avocado combined with a slower digesting carbohydrate from the right bread reduces the demand placed on your pancreas. When glucose trickles in gradually instead of flooding in, your body doesn't need to release a large, urgent burst of insulin. Over time, that reduced demand is associated with better insulin sensitivity and fewer dramatic blood sugar swings. Research on meals that combine healthy fats with carbohydrates has shown meaningfully reduced post-meal blood sugar spikes compared to carbohydrate-only meals, exactly the outcome you want from a thoughtfully built breakfast. There's a hormonal benefit here too, the same theme we've seen with eggs and green bananas. The fat and fiber combination helps regulate leptin and ghrelin, keeping you fuller for longer and reducing the pull toward a mid-morning snack. And because avocado supports better insulin sensitivity, it indirectly supports that same GLUT4 transport process, helping glucose move into your muscles rather than circulating unused. There's a cardiovascular angle worth mentioning as well. Avocados tend to raise HDL, your protective cholesterol, while helping lower LDL, the kind associated with cardiovascular risk. They also support healthier blood vessels, which matters enormously for circulation and, by extension, how efficiently glucose and nutrients move through your body. And don't overlook the gut connection. The fiber in avocado feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which supports lower inflammation and, in turn, a healthier insulin response. The same gut metabolism relationship we saw with resistant starch in green bananas. For a simple, balanced version, try one slice of whole grain or true sourdough bread, topped with half an avocado, lightly mashed, with a pinch of salt and a little lemon juice. Add a soft boiled or poached egg on top, and you've combined protein, healthy fat, and fiber into one meal that can keep your blood sugar steady for hours. A sprinkle of chia or flax seeds adds even more fiber and a dose of beneficial omega-3 fats. A couple of practical reminders. Avocado is nutrient-dense but also calorie-dense, so half an avocado per serving is typically plenty. Keep your bread portion moderate. One slice is usually enough to capture the benefit without adding excess carbohydrate. And be selective about your bread. Anything labeled simply wheat bread without visible whole grains or seeds is often more refined than it appears. Look for genuine whole grains, visible seeds, or true fermentation, as in traditional sourdough. The idea to take with you here is this. Avocado toast doesn't eliminate carbohydrates from your life. It teaches your body how to handle them without chaos. That's the entire shift. From reactive eating, where every meal feels like a gamble, to strategic eating, where each bite is working in your favor. Bringing it all together. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. Breakfast was never just your first meal. It's the switch that sets your blood sugar trajectory for the better part of your day. Eggs slow digestion and quiet that early morning liver glucose release. Green bananas use resistant starch to feed your gut and soften your glucose response over time. Avocado toast, built the right way, turns one of the riskiest breakfast foods, bread, into something your body can actually manage gracefully. None of these foods work like medication. None of them promise a miracle. What they offer is something more valuable for the long run, a way of eating that works with your biology instead of against it. Small, consistent choices, repeated daily, are what actually move the needle on long-term blood sugar control and healthy aging. If today's breakdown gave you something useful, something you can put into practice tomorrow morning, that's exactly why I make these videos. If you found this helpful, take a moment to like this video. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need this information. Subscribe if you want more clear, practical, evidence-informed guidance on healthy aging and blood sugar management. Drop a comment and let me know which of these 3 foods you're going to try first. And if you know someone, a parent, a friend, a neighbor, who's been struggling with their morning numbers, share this with them. It might be exactly what they needed to hear today. Take care of yourself, start tomorrow morning with intention, and I'll see you in the next one.